It was supposed to be just another trip. I received last-minute shipping, simple overnight delivery via a route I had never taken before. The GPS plotted an alternative route, saying it was faster. I hesitated. That road had no name, just a grey line on the map. But the clock was ticking, and I decided to follow. Just after the first curve, the signal disappeared. No coverage, no radio. Just me, the truck, and the pitch black. The strange thing is that everything changed so quickly. The air grew colder, as if I had walked through an invisible door. A dense fog began to fall, covering the headlights and swallowing the road ahead. The trees leaned on both sides as if watching me. I no longer saw poles or houses. Time seemed to stand still, squeezed between the seconds on the clock on the dashboard. I tried to turn on the radio, just squeaking. I looked at my cell phone. No signal. The road seemed increasingly narrower, more isolated, as if it were being shaped to keep me inside. The calm light from the headlights no longer cut through the fog like before. It was like driving inside a bad dream, where everything around you loses its logic, but you keep going, because stopping seems even worse. That's when I felt it. I don't know how to explain it, but I was sure that I was no longer alone in the ride. The truck was empty, of course, but the silence had weight. I could feel it, like something got into me when I turned that first corner. And at that moment, in the back of my mind, a question whispered, what did I do wrong to come here? I'd been driving for almost 2 hours and hadn't seen a single car coming in the opposite direction. No lights, no headlights, nothing. I started to feel strange. Even though it was a little used road, it was impossible for it to be so deserted. Darkness seemed to surround me, and with every kilometer, the feeling of isolation grew. I tried to stay focused, but something inside me said there was something very wrong with that place. The forest always looked the same. The branches curved in the same way, and the strangest thing, I swore I had already been through the same stretch a few times. The same curve, the same worn yellow stripe on the asphalt, as if the road was stuck on repeat, even with the steering wheel straight pointing forward. That's when I saw a car parked on the side of the road. My eyes immediately widened. A black sedan, apparently recent. Lights off, but the hood still emanated a slight heat, visible from the steam rising in the damp mist. I slowed down and pulled over. The instinct to help spoke louder. Perhaps someone had had a problem. I got out of the truck, stepping slowly onto the cold asphalt. The silence outside was even thicker. The car was empty, no sign of movement. The passenger door ajar shook slightly as if someone had left in a hurry. The interior was intact, no objects thrown, no signs of a struggle. Just a piece of paper on the passenger seat. I took the note with shaking hands. The lyrics were hurried, almost shaky, as if written in the dark. If you're reading this, it's already too late. I swallowed hard. I looked around, trying to understand what that meant. There were no marks on the floor, no footprints, nor any trace of anyone nearby. The surrounding forest seemed to look back at me. I took a step back, my heart racing, trying not to think about the worst. I ran back to the truck, the note still in his hand, shaking. I closed the door tightly and locked it immediately. I started the engine, took a deep breath and tried to rationalize. Someone must have played a prank, that was all. Maybe a prank, a scare, I don't know. But my body didn't believe the excuses my mind was trying to make. The air inside the cabin felt heavier, as if I had brought something with me. I looked in the rear-view mirror, just out of reflex. And for a brief second, I thought I saw a shadow move in the back seat. I tried to speed up and leave everything behind. The note was still in my lap, and every word of it seemed to stick in my mind like a warning that could no longer be ignored. The road remained the same, long, straight, surrounded by shadows and silence. It was then that the radio which until then had only hissed, made a loud crack, an interference, then a voice, hoarse, muffled, almost whispered, "You took the wrong turn." I frowned. I looked at the viewfinder. The station was 89.9, a number I never used. "They're going after you now," the voice continued. I swallowed hard. I changed stations, but every time I changed, the same phrase was repeated, as if the frequency doesn't matter. I turned off the radio immediately. Silence returned, but only for a few seconds. Without me touching anything, the radio turned on again, by itself. The volume gradually increased until it filled the entire cabin. The words were repeated, brokenly, as if they had been recorded a long time ago. "Come back. Now. Come back. Now." The words pulsed like a mantra, mixing with the sound of the engine and my own racing heart. I hit the panel, forcibly turned it off, and this time I pulled the cord from the device. The radio died, but the silence that remained in place seemed even more ominous. I tried to take a deep breath and stay focused on the road, but it was like driving into a lucid nightmare. The fog increased, swallowing the headlights, and the road remained straight, endless, without forks, with no sign that I was getting anywhere. The GPS marker froze. Zero movement. I tried turning on the alert on my cell phone. No signal, nothing worked, and every kilometer covered seemed to sink me deeper into a parallel reality. I started to feel like the road was taking me nowhere. She was the one who decided when and if I would leave. That's when I started to feel something strange in my breathing. A different smell, metallic, like blood. I quickly glanced at the mirrors instinctively and saw the reflection of the back seat. Empty. But even so, the feeling of being watched didn't go away. It was as if I was being led, not the other way around, as if that road had life, as if every voice that echoed on the radio was still there, suspended in the air, waiting for the right moment to speak again. I looked at the fuel gauge and braked. Something didn't make sense. I had filled up a few hours before hitting the road. I had practically a full tank. But now, the needle trembled in the red, almost empty. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. But the panel continued to indicate the impossible, as if every kilometer traveled had drained more than fuel, as if the road itself was sucking up everything I had. I accelerated cautiously, trying to gain time. That's when I saw lights in the distance, piercing the fog like motionless fireflies, a post in the middle of nowhere. I slowed down, relieved and suspicious at the same time. This seemed like a miracle or a trap. I parked. The station looked old, worn out by time, but still working. Fluorescent lights flickered over the bombs. There was no one there, no attendant, no sound other than the hum of the lighting. I went to the convenience store, hoping to find someone, or at least a phone number. The door was unlocked. I entered. The room smelled of mold, and an inexplicable cold enveloped me. It was then that I noticed the television on in the corner of the counter. Small screen, black and white. The blurry but recognizable image, it was me driving the truck. The footage was from inside the cabin, from the exact angle of the passenger seat, my hands on the steering wheel, my eyes glued to the road. For a moment, I was paralyzed. Then the camera flickered and changed angles. Now it showed the back seat, and there, a shadow, sitting motionless, faceless, just a dark, hunched presence. My body froze. I knew I was alone on that trip, or thought he was. I ran out, almost tripping over my own feet. The cold wind seemed to push me out of that place. I got into the truck with shaking hands and tried to start it. Nothing. The engine choked as if refusing to work. I slammed my fist on the steering wheel, despair rising in my throat. It was then that I saw it. In the rearview mirror, in the distance, a figure was slowly approaching along the road, high, bent over, the heavy, shuffling gait. The headlights didn't illuminate her completely, but it was impossible to ignore their presence. I locked the doors. I held my breath. The figure stopped next to the window and disappeared. I remained motionless for a few seconds, waiting for something to happen. I no longer heard footsteps, nor the sound of the creature outside. Just absolute silence. I didn't have the courage to look out the window again. The darkness outside seemed alive, as if waiting for any opening to enter. I closed my eyes for a few moments, trying to control my breathing. I didn't know if I had dozed off, or if time had simply stopped, but when I opened my eyes again, the sky was clear. The sun was beginning to rise behind the fog, but the world around didn't seem the same anymore. I got out of the truck with weak knees. The air was different, stagnant, cold, too still to be real. I looked around and the road was old. The asphalt was cracked, covered in dry leaves and weeds growing along the edges. No recent tire marks, no traffic signs, as if no one had been there for decades. The gas station behind me looked like it had been abandoned for years. The lights were out, windows were broken, the store was covered in dust and time, but the truck was still there, or at least something that was once my truck. I got closer and stopped in disbelief. The bodywork was rusty, the flat tires, the cracked windshield. It was as if he had aged 30 years overnight. I touched the hood, cold as ice. I turned around and climbed into the cabin. The inside was covered in dust. Everything was out of place. My coat, which I had left hanging on the backrest, was faded and full of mold, as if it had been forgotten there for a long time. I turned on the panel on instinct. The battery responded with difficulty. The GPS screen blinked and displayed just a single word. Taking. All in capital letters. Red, fixed. No route, no destination, just that. Pray. A confirmation of what I already felt, but still didn't want to accept. The road had caught me. I didn't know how or when, but now everything made sense. Or it didn't. This wasn't just a trip. It was a trap. A place. Outside of time. A hole where reality goes to die and takes us with it. I didn't wait any longer. I picked up my things, or what was left of them, and started walking. The road no longer seemed reliable, so I took a path through the trees, figuring any different direction would be better than continuing there. The branches brushed my face, and the fog followed with me, as if it surrounded me on all sides. I walked for hours, or minutes, I don't know. Time no longer made sense. When I emerged on the other side of the woods, I felt an icy chill run down my spine. I was back on the road, the same excerpt, the same broken branch on the shoulder, and as if all hell was stuck on replay, there was the car, standing in the same place, the passenger door ajar. I didn't want to look, but I went to him. The note was still there on the bench, only now there was something different. Below the first sentence, someone, or something, had handwritten, "You shouldn't have come back." The handwriting was identical to before, but I hadn't written that. And deep down, I knew it wasn't the first time I'd read those words. I took a step back, dizzy. The road hummed silently. I felt my breathing become heavy, and I went back towards the truck. I opened the passenger door and got in. Everything the same dust, same smell of rust and forgotten time. But when I closed the door and looked in the rearview mirror, my muscles froze. In the reflection, I saw myself, but not like I am. Now, it was me, yes, same face, same clothes, except he was smiling, a wide, strange smile, and he waved, slowly, like someone who already knew what was going to happen. At that moment, I understood. I was stuck in a cycle. Maybe I always have been. Maybe it never got off that initial curve. The road I took didn't lead anywhere because it wasn't made to lead. It was made to arrest. And now, every time I try to escape, I just go back to the beginning. The same road, the same car, same warning. And that reflex, patiently waiting for the right moment to take my place.